Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome back for the second time in this Saturday edition of the HyperX D2L Season 4. Finishing up the day, we've got Na'Vi taking on Team Liquid. Now, Na'Vi, obviously a front runner and a major competitor for that direct qualifying spot to our grand finals in Vegas coming up in January. They remain undefeated and still facing their biggest challenge ahead of them in Alliance coming up next week. Team Liquid, though, well, they're just kind of getting going, but they're off to a decent start. We'll take a look at how these teams match up roster-wise, as I really expect this match to be a shootout, a lot of movement, a lot of aggression, and a lot of fun. Team Liquid, they roll in 1-1, and like I said, still kind of very early on in their schedule. They've got 2 matches of their 7 under their belt, and splitting the difference there, not too bad. They're led by Fluff and Stuff in the support jungle position with TC on hard carry and Bulba in mid. Koikva, the youngster in the off lane with Way Too Sexy on hard support. And, you know, seeing this team, I mean, obviously a lot of names familiar, you know, a remade team post-international, still trying to find their groove, but showing us flashes of brilliance on and off. And you can already see the potential this squad has to really improve through the tail end of this year and on into next spring. Their test, though, here today, a 5-man squad that's been together for, well, pretty much as long as Dota 2's been a thing. That's Na'Vi. Now, Kuro and Funnick, obviously, were the pickups that remade this Na'Vi squad pre-International 2013. But the core, Havost, Dindy, and Puppy, all still together. Funnick and Kuro making excellent lineups, or excellent additions to this lineup, I should say. They roll into play 2-0, only 2 matches under their belt as well, but already facing one of their toughest tests in Fnatic and getting a win there. They sit in good position to finish on the very, very good side of 500 by the time all said and done. Puppy, the support jungler, he's the drafter, the captain, the leader of this squad, really the heartbeat and soul of the team. Havost, the always high-flying, always entertaining hard carry with Dindy, arguably the most popular player in the world in mid. Funnick, one of the best off-laners you're ever going to see, and the solid hard support coming out of Kuroki. Now let's see where these two teams sit in relative to each other, as well as the rest of the teams in the standings. Again, Alliance has played the most matches of anyone so far. They sit at 5-0. Behind them, with 4 matches played, is Fnatic. They split the difference 2-2, but did lose to Alliance and Na'Vi. So the rest of their schedule coming in is going to have them in the favorite position. They played Mousesports today, still remaining to play. Pretty sure at this point they need to play EG, Dignitas, and Team Liquid. So they will be the favorite, most likely, coming into all of those matches. Na'Vi again in 3rd position at 2-0. Staying perfect, Virtus Pro has really bounced back quite well from a 0-2 start they suffered early on. Team Liquid 1-1. They want to fight their way into the top half of the standings, and the best of the rest after that. 0-4 and 0-3, not the starts that EG and Mousesports wanted to have. And Dignitas, as of yet, still not getting their schedule underway. They'll be doing that looking ahead to next week. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers. Been here for all the action so far. We'll be here for all of the action, not just here in this best of 3, but looking ahead to the weekend as well. And we'll talk a little bit about that before the broadcast signs off, what you can expect to see coming up in not just the Western Division over the next couple of days, but the Eastern Division as well. Joining me as always will be Ben Merlini Wu. Can't wait to get this series started. Game 1, the draft already underway. Stick with us. We'll be right back with all of the action here in Game 1. Na'Vi taking on Team Liquid here at the HyperX D2L. We'll be right back. And the draft already rolling along. Na'Vi opening up with a Lich pick and a Lifestealer pick. Team Liquid going with the 2 solid supports in Visage and Venomancer. The Duo V combination, one we've seen quite a bit already today, and one that honestly I think we're going to continue to see paired together just because of how strong they are early on, both in terms of the laning phase and in terms of their ability to roam together and make things happen, to break that and other things down about the draft, and of course lending all of his insight and analysis. Welcome in once again, Ben Merlini Wu. And Na'Vi going to be playing down a man today, Ben. They are not going to have Havost on the carry position. Snagging up that Lifestealer, though, for RMN. RMN's another one of those guys. He reminds me a little bit of a Mojo Storm style kind of a guy. He just always seems to be playing with pro teams, filling in whenever they need stand-ins, and really a talented player in his own right. I can't remember off the top of my head just how good his Lifestealer happens to be, or if he'll even be farming. Sometimes whenever we see Na'Vi playing with a stand-in, they will move different players around the different positions. Kuro, for example, made his name in Dota 1 as a carry player, so he might end up on the carry position with RMN doing something else. We'll find out looking ahead. But, I mean, playing against this Team Liquid squad, even though Na'Vi is favored, make no mistake, even with a stand-in, or especially because there is a stand-in, Liquid is going to be able to make a series of this one way or the other.
It'll be fairly close odds, 77-23 in favor of Na'Vi. Nothing too ridiculous there. Liquid looked pretty strong in their performance versus EG yesterday, but they did get 2-0 by Alliance. They held on okay, though, but we'll see how they fare versus Na'Vi. Havost not being there, I don't think will hurt them too much. I'm not too familiar with RMN on the carry role, although I have seen his name around quite a bit. And Na'Vi getting the Lich pick, Team Liquid getting those very strong support picks, and they don't really have any anti-lifestealer. Like Venomancer is like kind of anti-lifestealer, but I think they need to draft a couple heroes to, at least one hero to try and shut them down. There is still Naga Siren in the pool, and Team Liquid with their bans, I think pretty good bans. They tend to draft Bounty Hunter fairly often, although they haven't banned the Chen out yet, which is, that's pretty obvious that Navi's going to take Chen.
Yeah, and seeing, Chen and Lich in the same lineup is actually really interesting. I mean, when you look at Lich, his popularity post 6.79 with the changes to the way sacrifice functions and so on and so forth, he's not exactly a support that's going to get out and active and roaming around a lot. He's not a ganker. He has one nice little nuke in Frost Blast. He does give your team quite a lot in terms of lane control with sacrifice, for example. And, of course, his ultimate, when placed in the right situation, can really deal out a lot of damage. Ice Armor, not something you really want to underrate either. But seeing a Chen and a Lich, Chen is a very active hero, especially when Na'Vi plays him. Puppey will start rolling around with level 1 under smoke, trying to make something happen. So how they want to do this is kind of interesting to me. This might be one of those games where Puppey plays a relatively docile Chen for the first few minutes, just gets a good start, gets up a quick set of boots, maybe a quick mechanism. They try to make something happen off of that. But Team Liquid's going to have plenty of tools in their arsenal to apply pressure to Na'Vi's squad. They're going to know Chen's going to be in the jungle. They're going to be able to spot out where Lich happens to be. And again, Lich, as good as he can be in a variety of situations, he's pretty much, early on, other than the nuke damage from Frost Blast, he is very susceptible to ganks, and he can't really do a lot other than a little bit of damage whenever big dives come. So I think Liquid is very much going to have the ball in their court in the early laning phase.
Yeah, Na'Vi can just play passively, though. Chen is pretty difficult to kill Weaver. They have a bunch of slows, but no disables. Rubik, a good pickup. Stealing the Esikuchi and having that telekinesis for at least one stun versus Weaver is going to be very, very useful for them. But Chen may have a pretty difficult time versus Visage and Venomancer, so I expect Na'Vi just to play decently passive early. It really depends on their mid matchup. If Team Liquid wants to put a lot of pressure on the mid, for example, if it's a Storm or something like that, which we know Na'Vi likes to run, then I expect Liquid to try and put a lot of pressure, and then Chen will have to come out and try and fend off that early aggression. But most of the time, we see Chen played very aggressively and the aggressor, but I think this time it should be reactionary. They can level up way faster than the supports on Liquid, and then once they hit 6, Team Liquid should probably be like around 4.5, and they can start making their move from there.
Yeah, waiting ostensibly, one would imagine we're waiting on the mid pick. Can't imagine they're going to do something. Well, I guess they could mid the Rubik, but that's very, very rare, even post 6.79. And Lich, a hero who can work well in duo lanes, doesn't work all that well in the offensive position. Unless you're playing like an offensive tri lane that you once sucked up under its tower just to soak experience while you isolate a solo hero to farm. In the safe lane. That's usually how you'll see that run. With the Chen, though, that becomes a bit more complicated. You have to rotate the Chen into the enemy jungle. So more than likely, they're just looking for a very straight-up mid. Feel like they could use some damage coming out of mid. The Timbersaw has been banned, as has the Clockwork. So also the Puck and the Bat. So a lot of mids being banned out so far by Team Liquid. And, with Dindy here, Queen of Pain is always an option. We haven't seen nearly as much of that hero as we used to. She just really hasn't fared well in the latest patch.
Yeah, she has not. I think it's just she just gets locked down way too easily, and she does not fare as well as Puck in terms of escape potential. I think Puck there's a lot more room for error because you have the phase shift, you have the blink, and you have the orb. For Queen of Pain, you usually just have the blink, and you also don't want to have to farm a BKB on your mid hero. Maybe later, like for example on Magnus when you get Arcane and Blink, yeah, sure you can go BKB afterwards if they have Sheeps or Rubik or anything like that, or Orchids. But with a Queen of Pain, if you go BKB, she doesn't really do that much damage. If you just want a tanky hero that does damage, and you just go Viper, which is a much safer mid. He doesn't have Blink, but he's just more stable and can actually spend 4,000 gold on something useful besides just simply being able to survive in fights.
Yeah, I agree. Viper's still available. Wouldn't surprise me to see Team Liquid ban that. TA is also available if they wanted to go with that. I feel like TA could fit in quite nicely with this, having a Channel Lifestealer and a TA all on team with Lich's Ice Armor to contribute to that. Makes it
They won't pick TA versus Veno, though. Yeah. Venomancer is just like, it's so miserable playing TA versus Venomancer.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's a good call. I do like the Night Stalker pickup from Team Liquid, though. The extended silence. I mean, obviously, he's an active hero who can go toe-to-toe with Na'Vi in the mid-game quite easily. But at the same...
it'll just be a Storm, though. I think if they pick a Storm, Night Stalker is not going to have, like, the easiest time either.
Yeah, Storm would make a ton of sense. Here in D2L play, we've seen Night Stalker picked and banned quite a bit. He actually was picked quite a lot a couple of weeks ago by the Eastern. There's that Viper pick. Makes a ton of sense. But seeing the Night Stalker, I mean, we've seen him in D2L play quite a lot. I don't know that we've seen a particularly good Night Stalker yet, though. It seems like he always just has a hard time getting going.
Yeah, teams know how to play versus Night Stalker. It's not like Night Stalker is like anything new. It's like, oh my gosh, you're scared for your life during nighttime. But all you do is just have some good observer wards up. You call missing early. You huddle in pairs, and teams have been through that, and it's just very easy to shut down just because you can't really play passively with Night Stalker. You play passively with Night Stalker, you're losing out on a lot of opportunity. And the hero is not geared towards even farm. It's geared towards shutting down the mid and being able to pick off the supports and snowballing. If you play passively and farming during the night, that's just a complete waste of the hero. And that's often just what ends up happening when you do pick a Night Stalker.
Looking at Liquid's lineup as they finish up with the Darkseer pick for Koikva, I actually really like their draft here. I feel like it's very well balanced in a lot of ways. There's a lot of single target wins you can see. I mean, Weaver. We talked about Visage and Veno, how good they are at roaming and how strong they are in the laning phase. Night Stalker lets them apply pressure. Then they have a quick mechanism they can rely on to come out of the Darkseer 9 times out of 10, as well as good team fight potential to go with that, and pretty solid anti-push. I mean, Darkseer can deal with pushes fairly well, not to mention Venomancer. And anti-push always going to be very, very important against a lineup predicated around the chin. Na'Vi is just kind of got a jack of all trades kind of a lineup. Neither one really I feel like is going to be that difficult to execute, except I feel like Na'Vi, especially if they play passively early and decide to just let Puppy farm up a quick mech or quick arcane boots, however they want to do it. The mech most likely could be built by Dindy as well, so depending on who the mech carrier is going to be, obviously their playstyle will have to adapt. But at the same time, there's going to be a window of opportunity that they have to walk through. I feel like to get the most out of Puppy's chin before Liquid's able to scale into the late game on the back of Weaver's farm, they really need to get a lot done between 15 and 25 minutes. And, obviously the Lifestealer the same way. He's a great late game carrier, or can be, but against a Weaver, it's a little chancy. It gets to be a little chancy. He's a little easy to kite.
Yeah, it's going to be just a passive game. Liquid, I think, they just really have to start making things happen very, very early, like for first nighttime or second nighttime at the latest. So like the 4 through like 15-minute phase of Liquid is going to be really, really important for them. And we actually see Boba on the solo mid. Boba and Koikva have been rotating quite often. Looks like Koikva is on the Darkseer. I think Boba has a fantastic Darkseer too. I'm not sure if Koikva is experienced on the Night Stalker. I haven't seen any of Liquid's players Night Stalkers though.
Yeah, it's, Bulba, as experienced as it gets in solo lane situations. We talked a little bit about that with 6.79 really decreasing the efficacy of the traditional defensive tri-lane, which really was the name of the game for more than a year leading up to the International 2013. Players are becoming more just focused on solo lanes or group lanes. That kind of is becoming how it goes. That's why we see farming the safe lane. Sometimes he's in mid, but I think that's pretty typical for most teams. Bulba, though, like you said, going to have to be very active on this Night Stalker, and we'll start on him as the horn blows and we take a look through our lineups. Weaver will be handled in the safe lane by TC. Darkseer going to be played by Koikva. He's setting up shop up in that off lane. The Venomancer will be played by Fluff. He's going to be down in the safe lane along with TC, and the Visage currently hanging out way on the other side of the map and might try to take a run at mid as Way2 under the cover of an Invis rune. Bulba and he may take a run at Dindy, and we're going to wait for that before we take a look at Navi's lineup. He's going to go ahead and rotate straight down, and they are going to take a run at him. Void, and there's the auto attack damage. This could be a first blood. Grave Chill's there. Bulba's going to have Void back off cooldown in 3 seconds. He's going to get him. 1 second, and there it is. Liquid off to a great start, taking down the Viper right off the bat. Koikva snagging the Invis rune and making it happen early.
Yeah,
or way too
good
rather.
Coordination by them too. They use a Void first, 8-second cooldown, Grave Chill with 10-second cooldown. They know that Void will come up if they choose to tower dive, which he did. So, and they didn't overlap at all on the slows. Not that it actually matters that big of a. It's not that big of a deal if you overlap slows though, since it's additive.
Yep. And Dindy taking the shot there. He's playing in mid, obviously trailing 0-1 so far. Chin will be played by Puppy, already getting his work done in the jungle. Not quite level 2 yet. RM in the stand-in will be playing on the Rubik, and this is, again, I kind of pointed this out during the draft that this is something Navi will frequently do. Up, hold on, RMN engaged upon, caught the Gale, TC's right on top of him, Sentry Ward's down, there's the Telekinesis, way too rotating over though, and one Grave Chill, or one Soul Assumption rather, after the Grave Chill, enough to get the kill. They may be able to get Kuroki. He's going to have, no, he doesn't have enough mana for Soul Assumption, but they're not going to need it. That's going to be 3-0. Liquid rolling up this early game and putting it all over Navi.
Navi, I don't know why they're out so far when they only have 2 people on bottom. Their lane is just not very strong with Rubik and Lifestealer. I think they should have put the Lich there and just let Rubik get some experience up top. I mean, I guess it would have been much safer for them, but at the same time, Rubik is like not going to be able to do that much even with a solo lane, and he can't really control a Darkseer. But I think it would have been much better than what happened, which is the lane pushing up over here and just constantly diving. And Kuroki has to live in like a lot of fear now too. Kuroki actually playing the Lifestealer, as you said.
Yep. And seen him do this before. Whenever they are missing Havos, they'll very often rotate Kuro up. Dindy in mid, taking a little bit of damage. Here's going to be RMN, though. They're going to get the Telekinesis off. Dindy laying into way too. Now he put him closer. Soul Assumption and a couple of auto attacks make it a 1-for-1 trade, as he may get way too and will. But that's not a trade you want to make. Do not want to be trading your mid Viper for the support. And Waytu is really just getting work done, man. He's been a part of all 4 kills Liquid has notched so far.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that Viper is a Dendi hero either. It's like, he likes playing aggressively, and if you just make him play passively, it shuts down a lot of Navi's playmaking abilities. And a really quiet hero is Chen. Chen hasn't really been doing anything this game. He is level 3, 3 minutes in, which is not so bad, and another tower dive on bottom. Yeah, Lifesteal, that was only with 2 people.
Yep, was watching that actually as you were talking. They are going to manage to get a return kill on the Weavers, so not that bad, except it was RMN soaking all of the experience from that, so still a slight win in the trade for Team Liquid. I'll tell you what, Waytu is a monster, man. He has spent no time in lane whatsoever, has done nothing but gank, and he's going to rotate back over another Void. He's going to have a Grave Chill ready. Soul Assumption's there. Dindy's dead again. There's no way he gets away from this. Bulba's going to have another Void up, and there it is. And 6-2, just like that. Way too sexy, living up to his name. 5 of the 6 kills that have taken place on the map for Team Liquid, he has not only been a part of, but the progenitor of. A huge, huge advantage for Liquid as first night dawns.
Yeah, I expected early aggression from Liquid, but not this much aggression. I expected Na'Vi to react better, but Puppy's still just creeping away. I guess he really thinks that he can do a lot once he hits level 5 and 6, but the most important heroes on the side of Na'Vi are just being kept down so hard. Kuroki 0-2, Dendi 0-3, and we already see Bulba starting to move around. He is level 5.5, almost, or just 4 minutes in, and he has a DD. So he is looking for Lich right now. And yeah, I mean, Lich is nice and all. He's level 6, but is he actually going to be able to do that much with his solo lane?
And they saw him coming. Bulba was spotted by the ward drop by Na'Vi. They saw him bottling up. They saw him get the DD. And they saw him disappear to the top side of the lane instead of going back to mid. So Funnick's ducked behind the trees, and Bulba doesn't care. Bulba's going to DD and YOLO it. And Funnick, screw Ed. Here comes the TP reaction. 2 of them. This is how they need to react. Koikva decides not to go in. Bulba diving very hard. He's going to be surged, though, and get the kill, and he will make it away. Still manages to trade 1-for-1. Don't know that it's the best trade necessarily, but hey, get some work done on the Night Stalker. It's all right. 7-3 as we roll just past 5 minutes. Dindy's struggling mightily, and now look at Waytu has more experience than Dindy right now. There's a Gale, and Dindy might be in trouble again, trying to make it away. He's going to be caught with the Grave Chill as well, but the Gale speed slow just so potent. And Soul Assumption should be enough with one more auto attack, and it will be. They are going to end up trading away both for that. Now that trade, that's tough to call, but giving a couple of supports away to continue to hold down this Viper. Viper is just, I mean, Dindy is having a horrendous early game, sitting now at 0-4.
Yeah, this, I mean, I still don't understand why they picked Viper over, like, let's say a Storm. They only have silence, and that's it, and barely any stun. Boba with an Ion Shell is just going to be able to dive RMN on top. There is no support available coming out. Actually, there is Funnick, but Funnick only has a Frost Oven. He might die himself.
Salving through at RMN, trying to do what he could, but yeah, with all the TPs being spent on mid as well as trying to bail out top earlier, there just no one had a scroll available. And down at bottom, TC playing very brave against Kuro. Even Kuro struggling, does find his phase boots. Yep, the Courier does make it away because of the open wounds, but Kuro forced back behind his own tier 2. And we haven't even talked that much about that. TC's farm is the highest on the board by far, sitting at 34. The next highest for Na'Vi is Puppey on the chin at 21.
Yeah, this is just not going well for Na'Vi. Their laning phase just completely broke down. And, I mean, Lich is nice and all. He is level 7, so they pretty much prioritize
what
this
good
farm.
movement.
Is so dead.
Fluff coming out of the woodwork and following up Bulba's Void with his Gale. Way2 serving as a little bit of a distraction. 10-5, they're doubling them up. And this is the dominant Night Stalker play we just haven't seen so far when we saw him picked. He's sitting at 3-1 with about 50 seconds left in the first night. This is definitely how you want your Night Stalker to get off to a start in a game 1 of a best of 3.
Yeah, really off the back of Way2. The Way2, as you said, just playing like an absolute monster.
He is.
And yeah, just using that smoke to get that early kill on Dendi and just setting him so far behind. 0-5-3 on him. RMN, though, he is Shikuchi with the Nyx bomb inside of him.
Puppey's there, but they miss it. There's only a test of faith there. And as Puppey doesn't have a single point in a penitence, so there was no slow available to him.
They needed to get the open wounds off.
Yeah, they really did. And how many points did he have in open wounds? Only 2, so the range on it very, very short.
He should be able to Sakuchi in melee range, though. Rubik should have been way closer to the Night Stalker there.
Yep, I agree. Taking a look at the gold at 8 minutes in, all things told, it could be much worse. 2,000 gold, the deficit Na'Vi faces. Without a tower down and this early on, that still is considerable. The experience, less than 1,000, but the problem they're going to face is just how long it's going to take Dindy to make up for this awful early game. He's sitting on a Basio wand. It's still tier 1 boots. Progress towards a mechanism is a forlorn hope.
Yep. It's a damage control build. Strength shreds, bracer, Aquila, drums. I'm telling you, that is the best damage control build with Magic Wand. That's kind of what you have to do when you're in Denny's position. You can't really save up for anything big.
Bulma hasn't taken his ultimate yet. Has found another DD rune. Looks like he's just going to spend the second day doing a little farming. Up at top, we can see Way2 Koikfo. Way2 at level 7 almost. And think about that. Way2 spent almost no time in lane. Pretty much every bit of his experience has come from kills at this point. I take it back. He actually did spend probably...
playing aggressively on Funnick.
Yep.
But he uses Surge. That's very bad for him.
Here comes Puppey. Puppey still doesn't have a point in the penitence. Going to look for the stomp, and we'll find it. RM is right there. So finally, Na'Vi manages to get a kill that doesn't cost them anything to get.
Lucky Centaur.
Yeah.
And the tree was down right here too, which is not anymore. So that was just a very fortuitous sequence of events, putting Na'Vi up on the board.
And we can see Puppey is going to be building the mech himself. And no surprise there, given how poor a start that Dindy had on Viper in mid. At this point, I mean, Bulba probably just going to continue to farm up, does pop his DD. Actually just comes off right before the 10-minute rune spawns. But, they can play stable for the rest of this day. Then I think by the time night comes, Bulba will be close to level 11. And he can look to just start using his ultimate to extend the night. And they're going to be able to just really take it to Na'Vi, put the screws to him hard.
Every support is pretty high level in this game, though. Venomancer already level 6, Visage level 7, Chen is level 8, and Rubik is level 7 too, so no one falling too far behind in that area. I think that actually benefits Na'Vi, though, especially since Puppey is already so farmed. He has his mech in just 100 gold, and they're just free to give up towers, but getting a quick foot kill on the meantime on top again.
Trying to push this mid tower. Na'Vi is forced to rotate over, as you mentioned they did. Managed to find Koikvo. One of the nice things about drafting a Rubik into this kind of a lineup, he actually stole Surge there, and I'm sure that was a part of it as well. TC starting to make up a little bit of ground, or not make up a little ground, extend his lead. He's at 57 CS as We just get a bit past 10.5 minutes. Bulba under cover of an invis will silence Dindy out after the Void Grave Chill's there, so there's going to be another death on the Dindy. Oh, nice heal from the Chen as he pops Hand of God to save him. Bulba will be able to TP away despite the damage. There was a Centaur roaming around, but had already spent his stomp, unable to stop it. So, at the very least, they prevent another death on Dindy. Buy him some time to catch up.
If they need to defend this tower, though. And I didn't realize how underfarmed Koikva was, and that is one of the benefits of placing a Lich solo top. Like, Koikva is hurting, and he's attempted to die Funnick, but not going to happen. Funnick is almost level 11, so I believe he's the highest level in the game right now. No one on Liquid is even level 9, so we see like a 3-level discrepancy or a difference in between Funnick and the rest of Na'Vi, and Koikva especially, though. They really need his mech online, but getting that many creeps sacrifice is just a real big detriment to him. Only Soul Ring, Headdress, and Brown Boots.
Here in mid, fight's going to break out as they try to defend the tower. There's a tower destroy, actually, no deny. There's the ulti from Bulba. He's going to, he silenced Puppey out. Puppey trying to make a run for it, uses the mechanism, freshly completed. What did RMN get? He got Void. Puppey taking some Visage Familiar damage. There's going to be a 2-man stun on that, and Bulba comes back in with a Void to secure the kill. Way too not going to be so lucky, brought down with the Frost Blast. RMN going toe-to-toe with this Night Stalker. The Visage Familiar still doing work, but having stolen that Void, TC with the Familiars will not quite catch Funnick. He might with this latest Shikuchi. The Familiar keep an eye on him, and yeah, one auto attack will do. Kuro's going to use Open Wounds, but just enough mana for one more Shikuchi. Should be enough to get him to safety. In the meantime, Darkseer did manage to take the top tower. So
wait, there's a Viper Strike on bottom. I don't know if they're going to catch TC. TC actually out of mana right now, but if they catch him with one more Open Wounds, he's dead. Nope, looks like he's scot-free.
Yep, manages to make it away. Koikva did manage to take down the top tower as well, but Na'Vi helping to make up some ground there. I mean, we take a look at the gold. We could see that Liquid did take the advantage, but that could have gone much worse if Na'Vi hadn't have picked off so many heroes there in mid.
And getting the Lich kill is so important. It gives them so much experience. Now TC's almost level 11 too. They desperately need towers on the side of Na'Vi. The tower count is 2-0 in favor of Liquid. Gold Graph was almost back to being 0. It dipped down to 500 in favor of Liquid, but now extended to 3,000 after that fight and after the 2 towers. But Na'Vi's not trading that poorly. Dendi has managed to stop dying a lot. He's actually gone for a Stout Shield too, but Lifestealer really needs farm too. Compared to Weaver, he is heavily under farm. Look at the net worth graph: 5,500 on the Weaver and only 3,500 on the Lifestealer. So we're looking at a 2,000 net gold difference on those two heroes.
As you mentioned, Koikva really suffering in that solo lane against the Lich, but he has caught up admirably. He's got his mechanism essentially done now, and just needs to buy the pieces. The tier 1 bottom will be brought down. No glyph to defend it. That's all 3 tier 1s down. This is the worst possible situation you can find yourself in with the Chen on your team. Chen, just the way the hero functions, you know, you want to hold on to your creeps. You don't really teleport around a lot. You tend to walk around a lot, and just because you always want to be moving with your creeps. And because of that, losing all of your tier 1s without a single tier 1 down on the enemy side, not having map control, just makes it so hard for him to feel like he has any mobility on the map, and it makes it really, really hard for him to reliably get into the jungle to try and find any farm in any levels. And at this point, he had one of the better starts on Na'Vi. I mean, he was left alone. His net worth's still quite low, but he had a quick mech up. They still need a lot out of him, and they're just not getting it at the moment.
Yeah, it makes it that much more difficult to push, though, which is what they actually need to do sometime soon. And it just opens up the map for Bobo to just run around wherever he wants. They don't really have any good ward setup. There's a one up top close to Liquid's T1 tower, as well as bottom near to the Roshan, but they can't. That's just so little ground to cover when you have to worry about him just coming up through mid, coming up through top river, coming up through bottom lane. There's so many ways of attack that the Night Stalker can come through that Na'Vi just can't feel safe right now.
TC very nearly done with his Lincoln Sphere as well. So things getting quite scary quite quickly. And the gold graph, I mean, 5,000 gold-ish behind at 15 minutes is obviously pretty bad, but it's not the end of the world. The problem is the lineup that Na'Vi drafted, this isn't really a position they can afford to be in. Viper, I mean, like you said, pure damage control. Nothing but Treads Bassy want. He has nothing to contribute outside of some slows at the moment. His damage is abysmal, doing about 74 damage per auto attack. I mean, to put that in perspective, look at Lich. Funnick is hitting almost twice as hard as Viper is at this point.
Our man has been playing decently too, though. He is 3-2-4. He's been at the right place at the right time. He has stolen pretty good spells, having Shikuchi, having the Void for the last kill.
Big reaction.
They cannot kill
Yep.
anyone.
Force back. And that's what Navi's going to have to do to really hold this game together and extend it and give themselves a chance to play back into it. They just have to be on the money with their reactions. They can't give up any more silly kills, and this will help. If
they're looking for Kuroki.
If they're going to find
silence on him, he is dead.
Way too down to the Roche pit in trouble. Kuro will be caught with the Gale, so he's going to be brought down, as will Way too, so they trade. But again, that trade favoring Liquid, trading a carry for a support. As good as Way too's done, see, you know, much rather lose him than someone. I mean, just look at top melt now to Bulba. Bulba, having built this armlet, is just absolutely wrecking structures everywhere.
Yeah, Bulba is just massive beast right now. 4-2 and 5 already farmed his armlet, and yeah, he is just trucking these towers. Navi's still trying to keep with the split push pressure while Liquid is up top, but meanwhile TC on the bottom lane farming away. Does he have his Lincoln Sphere? Yes, it is complete. It's 16 minutes in, and he is going to be even more difficult to kill.
Yep.
Now, like, they don't have anything versus him aside from a telekinesis. That's pretty much the only way they have to lock him down, unless Chen hits some miraculous stuns on the Weaver.
And well, this is one of the big benefits of drafting a Weaver. As slow as the hero can feel to catch up, especially if he's under a lot of pressure early and can't farm that well, which honestly wasn't the case whatsoever in this game, you could just stick him off in a lane and just say, okay, just farm there forever and just take their attention and split push anytime you can account for 3 of them on the map. And just do your thing, because we rely on your build, we rely on time-lapse and Shikuchi to keep you safe. That frees up the rest of Liquid to reliably make things happen elsewhere on the map. And the link is revealed as Funnick tries to bust him with a Frost Blast and sees the pretty little particle effect. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly what Liquid's doing. They're just controlling the entire map and taking away any decision-making process from Na'Vi. Na'Vi's in pure reactionary mode now.
Yeah, and you really want to be the aggressor when you have an early Chen. But what are they going to do for CC? Like you said, he has to be scared there's more than 3 missing. I mean, even if there's 5 missing and they smoke gank him, like, they have to bust his Lincolns and then, like, dust him immediately and then telekinesis him. Right. In order to kill him, and that's just a very unlikely sequence of events. TC can just Shikuchi away, and what really can they do about it? Pretty much nothing.
And Kuro's still trying desperately to make something happen. Kuro's had a pretty horrendous game. He's at 0-3, and that's what you can't have if you're Na'Vi. I mean, you draft Chen to give you a lot of utility, a lot of push power, etc., but you got to have your damage, especially out of a Viper and a Lifestealer who want to be doing work between 15 and 25 minutes, and both of them collectively are at 0-8.
Yeah, I just don't think their laning decision was correct. Just sacrifice Funnick, because an underfarm Funnick is just so much better than having an underfarm Kuroki, and he has phase and armlet now, but which target is he going to stick on? He still has to worry about defensive surges on any of the heroes. He can't catch a Night Stalker during nighttime. Visage can just grave chill him and run away. He can get Galed before his Rage, and then Weaver is just impossible to kill right now. There is a Vanguard up on Viper, but that does not do anything.
Yeah. At this point, I can't help but wonder, survivability be damned. I mean, just rush a Scepter. I mean, you're going to tank up a bit out of that anyway, and I don't really know what the Vanguard gives him. Because
I agree. Yeah, the Scepter would have been much better.
It's, you know, like you said, it's damage control mode, but they don't have a team that's going to play all that well from this far behind. That's the problem. Like, if they had like a Phantom Lancer or something crazy like that that could just, you know, steamroll later on if he gets up, you know, 4 or 5 items, that's one thing. But they just really don't have that. The Lifestealer against the Weaver can kite him by nature. And yes, you have Viper to try and help with that, but then you have a Night Stalker played by Bulba, who this is by far the best performance of a Night Stalker we've seen in D2L. He's got too much mid-game presence for you to just ignore it and decide, okay, you know, even though he is just going to punch through my Vanguard from being way over-leveled. Yeah, I feel like they need a lot more utility, and they just need to survive if they can. I just don't even know if that's going to be enough.
They just have so much magic damage, too. Yeah. Like, they have an Ion Shell, they have the Wall, they have Venomancer, all this poison damage, like Visage with his magic damage, too. Like, Corrosive Skin is going to be nice, but...
Here in bottom, we're going to have a fight break out. They're going to catch Fluff out, but he got his Poison Nova off. Bulba blows the ulti in. Here comes the Lich Ball. Beautiful vacuum into the wall, though. Na'Vi trying to fight out of this. Funnick finds himself a double kill and has actually got a lot of very fortunate bounces on his Chain Frost. The rest of the fight playing itself out. TC retreating to the north while we see Kuro and Dindy coming back in. There's a time lapse from TC. Only he and Way2 still stand. And a little bit of RNG love there for sure. That was an absolute cluster of creeps. And just a really nice Chain Frost coming out of Funnick's Lich. And as of right now, Funnick is doing his best to get the most out of his farm advantage. As you mentioned, they sacrificed a lot to get it. He's already got up a 4 staff to go along with drums, and his ult definitely the difference maker in that engagement.
Yeah, that was huge. And they had a very nice vacuum wall by Koiva, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like they don't have illusions to soak it up, but man, that Chain Frost just absolutely destroyed them. 370 times 10. That's 3,700 damage for one spell, which is absolutely insane. And he can get a Scepter if he wants to. Actually, Scepter is just not that great of an item on him, but looks like Liquid just looking to respond now that the ultimates of Na'Vi are down. They do not have Chain Frost for 50 seconds, no Hand of God for another 80 seconds. And if they let Na'Vi breathe, they can just get a Blaz or just smoke into Roche and let Na'Vi get back in the game. Liquid needs to keep up the pressure themselves. Nighttime not up for about 30 more seconds.
And you make a great point. It's something that neither of us really talked about, is especially playing from behind like this, just how much of a slave to their cooldowns Na'Vi is. It looks like Liquid is actually not going to feel comfortable taking a fight right now. The tier 2 and mid remains at about half health. But between Chen and Lich, especially given Lich is the big winner from the laning phase for Na'Vi, they really are going to have to make a true effort to punish them when those cooldowns are off, because there's just so much decreased efficacy of Na'Vi's entire composition there.
It is nighttime. Is Liquid going to make a move? They're trying to play passively and farm. Is that the right choice? I mean, I guess they can farm for BKBs, which is what looks like Bulba's going to do. And they're pretty close to some big items. Weaver fairly close to his Desolator, and it looks like Visage is fairly close to his Scepter too. Just needing 150 gold until that. But are those going to be big difference makers? I suppose they will be.
It's just pure item progression, really, at this point. I mean, you continue to look at, like, Dindy. Dindy is still hurting quite mightily, and still trying to make up a lot of difference. You look at the net worth, 3 of the top 4 all belonging to Liquid in terms of net worth, and the one still standing up there is actually Funnick. Dindy has made up okay ground-ish, he and Kuro, or at least in the ballpark, but when you compare it to TC, TC is just so far ahead at this point, and over halfway done now to his, or roughly halfway done to his Desolator. I mean, once he gets that item up, Na'Vi's just going to begin to melt.
Viper has the Sage, going for that Halberd, I suppose.
Yep, I was thinking the same thing. Probably not a bad pickup there out of him. So, I mean, we could see the split push potential of TC showing itself as he's now up under the tier 3.
They have to worry about the BKB, though. That's the biggest issue right now. If they get mass BKBs on the side of Liquid and Weaver doesn't really need one because he already has the Lincolns, like, they can't really focus anyone down, and that's why the Scepter build is just much better. You have 12 second cooldown and you have 10-second duration on BKB. So as soon as he BKBs, you Viper Strike, you try and wait it out, you try and use Mech, you use Chain Frost to make him disperse, you use Chen Heal, and then after that you just use the Scepter again. But I mean, are they going to be able to survive that? That's the problem, and that's something that Heaven's Helper doesn't really help with. He has mild evasion from that, but the disarm is not going to be particularly useful.
Bulba continuing to farm up. Only needs about another 1,000 gold to that Magic community, as you were discussing. Just look how bottled up Na'Vi is right now. I mean, they're basically playing behind nothing but their tier 2, and even this feels a little far out for Kuro. As we can see, Liquid agrees. Bulba with a haste rune was making his way up there. They're gonna continue to starve Na'Vi out. Now, this next engagement, when it comes, is going to be of utmost importance for Na'Vi. You know, and that's kind of the risk Liquid's running here. You sit back and farm, you let Na'Vi try to farm their way back into things, especially with this kind of a lineup. You have to win the ensuing engagement. If you lose it, especially if you lose it very lopsidedly and Na'Vi's able to do something like take a Roche off of it, all of a sudden that entire lead you've worked all game to build could just completely evaporate.
Yeah, this next fight is just going to be so important for both teams. The gold difference is 7,500 in favor of Liquid, but most of that is just from towers. They already have 4 towers down. That's a little over 5,000 gold. So just pure kill difference, or actually there is no kill difference. So just farming difference is just, wow, 2,500.
Yep.
And Visage gets picked off.
Yep, RMN down there along with Kuro, able to get a nice kill onto Way 2. That's actually a killing spree right now for RMN, the stand-in, playing...
Are they going to get this tower? Looks like it's very close to getting to 9 range.
Yep, there's a Gale onto the Chen critters, and TC looking like he has no interest in coming to fight right now, and they just want to starve them out. I think they would like to get a pick before taking this tower. I don't think they really want to take a chance on 5-manning.
They're not really starving them out, though.
Right. Just
because they're like up in their face so aggressively, but they're also not getting that much farm. So Na'Vi, they've managed to keep the gold graph even for like the last 10 minutes of the game. And this is nighttime. This is when Night Stalker is supposed to be going crazy, not farming with a regen rune.
TC continuing to try to keep the pressure up on top. Funnick's going to be there to scare him away a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, the next fight, especially as we get closer to 30 minutes, very high probability that either team wins by a deficit of 2 heroes or more. They will take a Roshan off of it. TC has picked up his Deso, so he gets that out in good time. Funnick going to be on the receiving end of it right here. Just look at the damage output with the armor reduction. So they're going to be aware of it, and they're going to have to account for it.
Yeah, Liquid split pushing top and bottom at the same time.
Kuro caught with a Gale, but had plenty of help behind him, and Puppey able to push him out. In the meantime, though, forcing that reaction, Way2's there to bring down the tier 2 mid, and just not a whole lot. I mean, Dindy has not felt like an impact hero at all on this Viper, and you made mention of it, and I think it's something that's very, very accurate to say, is that he tends to do well on Storm Spirit-esque heroes, Queen of Pains, you know, very aggressive, very mobile heroes, and Viper just doesn't fit his playstyle, and I think it shows this game.
Yeah, Puck, Skywrath, all of those sort of things he definitely excels at. Even Pudge is pretty awesome. But Liquid just choosing to play slow and safe. TC pushing top, but the weak point is actually the Visage in middle. They could just gank the Visage. He does have Birds Life. He just uses stun, but looks like they are rotating Dendi. Looks like he very well may be dead.
Here comes all of Liquid under cover of a smoke, and Dindy going to be tracked down by TC first. There's the Void to slow him, and the Silence. Grave Chill to help finish it, and the Vacuum just as a cherry on it. Worst of all, though, Chin just blew his Hand of God to try and keep him alive. That's now on cooldown for a long time, and that's going to allow Liquid to not only take the tier 2 bottom, but possibly fall back to do a reliable Roshan. 40-some seconds until we see Viper back up. So, yeah, they should be able to do this and then go take a Roshan without being contested at all because of that one gank and the misplay by Puppey there.
Liquid just have a lot of map control right now. Dendy can't farm like more than one screen outside of T3. He was just up a little bit too far, and Liquid completely capitalizing on that. This Roshan is going down very, very fast. Sitting at -4 armor and a lot of Plague Wards. Yeah, looks like TC will get it, but how are they going to kill TC? Maybe with the Basher on Lifesteal if you get like consecutive bashes, but I don't know. I don't see TC dying twice.
Yep. I mean, that would have been a tough Roshan for Na'Vi to contest under the best of circumstances, but again, as quick as it went down, I don't even know that they could have, even if Puppey hadn't blown Hand of God there. And TC, with his halberd done now, or excuse me, Viper with his halberd done now, will try to account for TC. But Kuro, I mean, he's got an Armlet Basher, so he's not completely barren of items at this point. It's just pretty much all the inventories on Liquid are about a half item or a full item ahead.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Kuro,
big engagement.
Gonna have to rage and TP away. You saw how much damage he was taking there. TC basically just auto-attacked him for about 3 or 4 seconds, and half of his health was gone.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go AC. I mean, I guess Basher, if they really want to kill somebody, but he's just going to have a really tough time surviving these fights.
I mean, it makes sense.
Smoke.
Against the Weaver, it would make sense that he would eventually...
Koifa about to get picked.
Oh, he is. Telekinesis right back in and catches the worst of everything. Actually mech'd and made no difference. He'll be back up in about 60 seconds, so now's a chance for Na'Vi to try and make something happen. The tier 1 mid still stands. That could be a very likely target. Hell, the tier 1 everywhere still stands. Mid, top, and bottom.
Yeah, they need split pressure, but at the same time, like Lifesteal is like very close to that point where if he gets a little bit further behind, he's gonna die during his rage TP just due to sheer physical damage. Especially if a medallion comes out on Visage, he's actually working on his AC, and that's gonna be a big problem if they can't apply any split pressure because they're not gonna get any towers at the end of the game. And bottom tower is still at like 75% HP, mid tower at like 80%, top almost 100%, and like they need that gold so badly. Gold difference about 12,500 now.
15-16 as we hit the 30-minute mark. Roughly 1 kill a minute, so fairly active game, but despite how close the scoreboard is in that regard, Liquid has just completely run over Na'Vi in every other way, in particular map control. But what I think makes the big difference here is the kills, or who the kills are coming out on. So many of them came out so early on Kuro and on Viper, or on Dindy on the Viper. that they just have been trying to play an uphill battle from that point on. And Liquid has just stayed very, very standard. I mean, they've stayed very patient and taken what was given to them. We see the gem was picked up on Fluff, so they're able to shut out the vision now, just slowly putting them to bed. Wei2's actually got a headdress and a Hyperstone, so we'll see what he wants to build out first.
Looks like Glitch may be going for that Scepter. Scepter is not as good in him as other heroes. It only increases damage a little bit in the cast range, but you don't really want increased cast range just because that thing travels so gosh darn slowly.
That's an excellent point. I've never actually thought about that way. Is increased cast range is nice because it keeps you safe, but really what matters more than anything is how much damage you're able to get out of the ultimate. And yeah, it improves the ultimate, but because it travels so slowly, the enemy will be able to see it coming even more and spread out even more. So that's a really interesting thought, really. I've never really thought of it that way.
Yeah, I think they need to buff that Scepter. It's like, I mean, some other heroes with Scepter are just like incredibly good. Like Visage, pretty much improving his ultimate by 50%, getting full familiars. Like, it's not a 50% increase in damage that we see on Lich, so I think something needs to be changed about it. It would be cool if they have like some sort of interaction with it. I think one of my friends actually just suggested that it could like bounce off yourself and use up a bounce, but you wouldn't get hurt by it. You could make the slow go through BKB. There are some creative things you can do to actually make his ultimate way more useful, or just making it, I don't even know.
How about making it bounce off allied teammates, but every bounce that hits an ally heals them for a certain amount?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or like 2 separate chain frosts. But yep. I don't know. You don't want to just have it negate the damage.
Oh no, I'm just thinking of RNG situations that make people rage and post YouTube videos about it. Because that's all we really want, right?
It'd just be like a Shen heal did.
Exactly. So we can see Liquid has been playing this very slowly now, and why not? The Aegis should it's actually going to be expiring before super long, so if they want to get something out of it, they need to do it now. Darkseer did pick up a Shiva, so another AoE centric item snagged out there, and it looks like Wei2 will actually be getting an Assault Cuirass before grabbing up what I would imagine was a pipe, was originally what he wanted to build for.
There is a Scepter completed on Lich. 60-second cooldown is pretty darn good. I think it could reduce the cooldown too. Like Lion's Finger got reduced from 40 to 20, so yeah. I don't think it would be that outlandish to make it like a 30-second cooldown. It would severely improve his late game damage output. But now heroes like Viper, heroes like Lifesteal are like not gonna do like any damage right now, especially with the Shivas up on Koikva. That minus 40% attack speed slow is just gonna hurt them so badly. Liquid, TC
has his link with his Lincoln's pop.
Oh, they missed a stomp on
Yep.
Shen. So that would have been a big kill. Oh, I guess he has Aegis, but I don't think they can kill him twice. Like, it's, again, 5-man people right outside Navi's T3 and can't even kill a lone Weaver, which is sad, but that's how the draft works out. Dendy getting caught right outside his own T3.
Yep, and caught out, vacuumed back. There's the Shiva's RMN comes in. Do they have the damage to burst him down? He's down to about half health. There comes the Chain Frost. Gonna hit Wei2 and bounce to a creep. Another bounce to Wei2. That'll help get the kill. Koikva is gonna bounce it to Bulba. Hot Potato ends with the Night Stalker. TC getting into the mix as best he can. And in comes Fluff. Got off the Poison Nova, as well as a Gale that caught more than a few, and they're going to reinitiate. Koikva looking for the side. BKBs go straight after Dindy, and now they're going to loop back around Kuro, laying into Koikva, but Koikva's so tanky because of the Shiva, survives easily. Kuro going to rage and try to find some safety. Lincoln's popped on TC again. He may go ahead and initiate, and he will. And decides better of it as he backs out. Shiva's once again used by Koikva. 2-for-1 the trade. So Na'Vi did get the best of that exchange. And TC's Aegis gone as well.
Na'Vi should have picked up that gem, though. Fluff had his gem, and if they had that, they can kill Weaver much, much easier. But TC, again, not really dying in these fights. Still staying at 3-1-4, and 2,700 gold to boot. Liquid's like slowly losing control of the map, though, especially after that fight. They really only got Viper out of it, and they traded 2 of their supports. Granted, Visitors pretty farm now, so I'm not even sure I would consider him like a support at this point. Probably like a 3.
Yeah. That's kind of how he feels. And TC has added an MKB to his inventory. His damage now quite high, hitting for an excess of 280 per shot. That plus the Geminate attack certainly going to make him a heavy, heavy threat. Wei2 is also only about 1,000 gold away from finishing up his Assault Cuirass. So with Wei2 getting the Assault Cuirass up, that's going to make a huge difference against heroes, in particular like the Lifestealer. He's just not going to feel like he can do any damage at all. He's actually got a Hyperstone of his own up, so it looks like he wants an AC for Na'Vi as well.
Look how scared Navi is. They have to drop an observer ward right outside their T3, which is just showing how scared they are of everybody. They have one down here, much less likely to get dewarded than the very common one up here, and they can't really venture forward past this mark, and that's just a really big detriment to their team if they can't. Like, Kuroki has to be scared for his life right now. They know that he's up there. They know that there's no backup, but. Yeah, see, he has a rage TP without anyone there just because he is just so scared of getting silenced out and then getting caught out by Night Stalker.
That's a great point you make also about how big a miss it is they didn't grab Fluff's gem whenever he died. Just look at all the wards they could potentially be dewarding to give themselves a little bit of room to breathe. There's actually another one. There were a couple up here in the secret shop that recently expired, but... Yeah, I mean, that gem would have been a nice pickup in a lot of ways. And they just don't have the gold to spare to spend on sentries and a gem of their own right now. At least I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure they have it.
I think Lich can.
Nope, Puppy.
Lich just says...
Puppy, actually.
Lich is just like just 6-2 and 7 on Fun. He's really playing well. Phase, 4-stab, drums, and scepter. I mean, he's really rich. I think he needs Ghost Scepter at this point, but if not, then he can get a... Fluff is going to get picked off here.
There's the Poison Nova and the
Gale. Gem, though.
Yep, gem on the ground.
Did they not see the gem?
They haven't picked it up yet. They're making a run for it. And it's being pinged. And in the meantime, TC split pushing bottom. Forces Dendy to react. Lincoln's will be popped. Did they get the gem yet? No, the gem's still there. And we can see Way2 now on RMN's tail. And Bulba showing his face near the edge. That gem is still there, and Bulba's going to run right over it. He spots it and thought he spotted it. RMN will be cleaned up behind the fight, though. And Bulba just such a threat right now. They can't afford to do anything. There's the silence onto him. And the Centaurs are there. BKB will be popped, and they're going to turn and maybe try to go to work on Kuro. Kuro does get the bash off, and Funix sent home via Chen. Gem's still there. So twice in a row now, they're going to be able to reclaim a gem after a kill on Fluff.
Yeah, that would have been pretty big for them, man. Armorano was like waiting for his team. He's like, guys, come on, pick up the gem, and then he was just off by himself. So clear lack of communication over there. He was like standing all the way over here. I guess he was laying wards, but Way2 able to pick him off. And TC got a significant chunk of damage out on the T3 tower on bottom.
Yep.
427 HP left. There is still a glyph on them, but if they just keep up the split pressure, eventually they'll whittle away one of these T3 towers. And if they just all go missing on the map, Navi doesn't know whether they're smoke inking, whether they're just waiting for them outside the base, whether they're doing Roshan, and Navi just having a very difficult time defending this. They're up in kills, but the momentum certainly does not favor them.
Roche has respawned, and Liquid will go ahead and go to work on the big guy. TC will be there momentarily, and TC is hitting very hard. They don't even need him, but certainly they want him to have that Aegis. And he comes, and yep, there you go. Just look at the big guy melt. TC going to claim his second Aegis of the game. And this is do or die time for Na'Vi. This last Aegis, they want to split. They want to push down bottom. They're going to have to really hold. And I mean, the idea of killing TC once at this point seems really tough. Being able to do it. Just look how much damage. And TC actually got bashed. Ooh, the time lapse could not have come any later. He almost lost the Aegis to RNG there.
Yep. He needs a little bit more HP. 1600 HP is just not that much. And he does have Lincolns, but we saw how easily he can be bursted down if he does get bashed by Kuro. But he should ever be a melee ranger, Kuro.
Yep, playing a little brave there. Little Weaver hubris. Bulba. He's got 1700 gold to go with his inventory. 8-second BKB charge left, and Way2 might get caught out here. Spotted by Kuro. And we'll try to TP away.
Bash.
No bash. Very fortunate there.
Wow, he got the chain off. But it's supposed to mini stun. What happened to the chain?
Must have come in just a bit late, but look what it cost them. Lost their tier 3 bottom because of giving that much emphasis to us. And now Kuro going one-on-one with Bulba. Kuro is beginning to feel a little bit scary, but with the birds there doing damage, Bulba kiting him out. Here comes some help, and there's going to be the open wounds. RMN's there. BKB popped, and Bulba's going to be able to run.
TC gets a free Rex on bottom.
And he time lapses and gets a free set of racks, not just one. Kuro, in the meantime, finds himself in a lot of trouble up here. As Liquid has collapsed up, Puppy should be dead to rights by all accounts. RMN does manage to steal Ion Shell, was probably looking for a hopeful surge, but Hand of God keeps Puppy up. Vacuum back. Puppy will end up dying to the Ion Shell damage as he's chased back behind the little icons. And there's the Shivas, and that'll probably be about all she wrote. They've already lost one set of racks and don't know that they're going to be able to hang on here. RMN actually blinked out, and he's going to die because of that. No idea what the plan was there. Kuro does want to come in, though. There's a Force Staff on way two. Chain Frost comes out, pops the Aegis, and bouncing off the birds, but they're magic immune. That's the worst waste of bounces they could have in that situation.
Yes, it is. And Liquid finally back on top of the kills, or actually even now, but gold 25,000. And
yep.
Yeah, TC is just out of control right now, just constantly sieging the towers. And I mean, they didn't even trade anything for the racks pretty much, which is just absurd.
Well, they reacted heavily to top, and we're trying to get a pick there, and it just cost them. And yeah, that HP problem you said the Weaver was having, not anymore. Manages to add a heart to his inventory.
Yeah, now, like, really, how are they going to lock him down? Maybe with an Abyssal out on Lifestealer, but he is still very easily focused down. He has 21 HP, but that's with Armlet on.
Kuro has really had a tough game. He's going to be essential if they want to try to extend it. He's sitting at 1, 3, and 6. His overall net worth, middle of the pack, sitting at 13,000, and Weaver just absolutely gigantic. Almost a full 10,000 overall net worth ahead of Kuro at this point.
Yeah, TC playing really well in the Weaver. I think next game, they're probably going to... I don't know which of the heroes they deem the biggest problem on Liquid. Like, Weaver's annoying, but if you just kept him down like they kept Quakefoot down with the Lich, then you don't have to worry about him too much. I think they may ban out Night Stalker just because of how well Boba has been playing and how much of an early game advantage they got with his early roam around. And he's not their biggest issue right now, but he's definitely what helped catalyze this tremendous snowball effect.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Quakefoot has added a Scythe of Ice to his inventory. He's actually number 2.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is really scary for them. I mean, Night Stalker has a lot of items too. He has Armlet, Owens has Basher, Heaven's Halberd, Black King Bar, and Quakefoot's probably... Yeah, Quakefoot has a Scythe, as you said, and Way2 may have a Scythe soon too. No, he's actually going for a Casual Headdress and a Sage.
Yeah, I think the plan at one point might have been to build a pipe, and then they abandoned that in favor of the Assault Cuirass. And now with a Sange, just like a yard sale, really. Just pick up whatever junk you can find for whatever the cost happens to be. The game's actually gone on a lot longer than one would have expected it to, given the way the early game played out. Na'Vi giving themselves every chance to win, but 19-19, the kills even, everything else way out of hand. And Liquid's playing this very, very passively now. I mean, they have the bottom racks already hollowed out. And, they pretty soon they're going to be able to just 5-man top and just take it that way. They could, I guess, turtle out a Roche. I don't really see what the purpose would be. They should just be able to run over Na'Vi right now. They
like to play it safe, though. They don't want Na'Vi to get back into the game, which they definitely can. It's not like they're completely out of it. RMN just gets...
Jeez. One Geminate attack and probably 1 or 2 more auto attacks would have killed him. And TC just going to work.
Aegis is about to expire, though. I think Liquid should make a move, but, I mean, they can just continue to slow siege. Like, if you look at the map right now, Na'Vi still has absolutely 0 towers out on the map. And, like, if they just keep this up, look at TC. He's just backdooring. He doesn't even care anymore. And Na'Vi, they can't even defend the all 3 lanes in their base right now. Their heroes just aren't that strong.
Yep, Roche will be back up sometime in the next 3 to 5 minutes, give or take, and that really might be. If they want to play it ultra safe, they could do that. I don't think it's necessary, like you said. I mean, TC just feels nigh unkillable.
TC can just walk up here and just tank all the way from 100 to 0, and meanwhile they get another one of the towers. But he has an Aegis, so you might as well use it.
And down he goes. TC going to work. There's the penitence, but not going to slow him down nearly enough. Bulba with a DD. And they're going to split push it. Instead of just trying to take a 5-man to end the game, they're just going to try to split them up. And we're going to see Kuro spending open wounds on TC. That'll force him out, allow him to push out a little bit. And Dindy going to be caught with the Grave Chill. Bulba throws the Void. There's the Veil of Discord used, but no follow-up on it. They do get the Tier 3 in mid, the Tier 3 at top, not in much better shape, sitting at 141.
This so smart, though, with this slow push. Like, Na'Vi can't do anything about it.
Yep.
And these birds are just constantly a thorn in their sides, too. TC gets a free tower on top, gets engaged on.
Brought back, Penitence is there. There's the Gale and the Poison Nova, though. And Kuro comes out, wants to go one-on-one, and he is doing good damage. They will... Oh, time lapse by TC. Comes at the last possible second. Bulba pops the BKB pursuing out Dindy. There's the Chain Frost. Will they get the damage they need? Dindy still making a run for it. Bulba forced out. Going to eat another burst of the Chain Frost. Way2 and Fluff still stand. In the meantime, TC continues to be utterly miserable up at top. Kuro going to re-engage on him. And Kuro 800 up, they're going to call it.
GG comes out. Yeah.
Yep.
They just felt way too far behind early game. They needed more out of their supports. Their laning decision was a little bit poor, and I think their draft, to be honest, was not that great either. Just no way to shut down Weaver, and just not enough early game control. And they couldn't protect Dendi at all, and given it's not that much of a Dendi hero too. So Liquid just played very impressively, though. They didn't really let Navi back into the game at any point, which is something that's very difficult to do. Navi generally one of the better comeback teams, but just not giving them any room to breathe. Night Stalker and Weaver just giving them complete map control too.
It's kind of reached a point now where banning the Weaver against Liquid might just need to be something teams do. We've seen TC on the hero a number of times now, and he just doesn't have a bad game. And we can see finishing up the game with 600 GPM, 653 XP per minute. Basically 6 slotted. I mean, I guess, maybe if you sell a TP and go boots and travel, you could add another slot. But assuming you did one day, just 6 slotted for all intents and purposes. Koikfa, despite a bad start, did bounce back well. Ended up with a lot of gold and a lot of items, a lot of utility added to his team. And taking a look at where Dindy finished up again, just 347 GPM, 422 XP per minute. Not exactly where you need him to be. And Kuro right there with him. So Liquid takes a solid Game 1 win. The kill score 20-19 when all was said and done. Took him 45 minutes and 41 seconds to pull the Game 1 upset. Na'Vi up against it now, could be facing a loss. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers, the voice on the other end of things. That's Ben Merlini Wu. Want to thank you guys once again for joining us for the broadcast here today. You can find our Twitter addresses right there at the bottom of the screen. So make sure you check out @Merlini Dota, and you can find me @EC. And Merlini, of course, does a lot of education material as well. So all of you mid-level players looking to get inside the head of a former pro, make sure you check out all that Merlini has on offer. Again, Game 1, Liquid pulls the upset. I mean, Na'Vi comes in the favorite and comes out of Game 1 pretty much up against the ropes. I mean, if Liquid can get a win here, it actually has much bigger implications than just their standings. Na'Vi, right now, the biggest favorite to be able to derail Alliance, who is sitting at 5-0 in the standings. Only 2 more matches left to play, and with Alliance and Na'Vi both having defeated Fnatic, the other top 3 team, the most favored to do well in this tournament, it really does. I mean, giving Na'Vi a loss right now could have huge implications in terms of who direct qualifies to our grand finals in January and who comes in with a top seed or a lower seed in our bubble playoffs as this Western Division continues to roll on. You're watching the HyperX D2L. We'll be right back with Game 2, Team Liquid versus Na'Vi, coming up next. Stick with us, guys.